Welcome to my second of 6 videos introducing the 6 teams qualifying through the open qualifiers for NA Challengers. And this video is about DSG, Disguised. They're a team made by Disguised Toast. All the players are signed by him, made up by former Knights players, Exalt, Gangsta, and Ziff, with their coach Ocean as well. Former top IGL in the game, Steel, and upcoming duelist Clear. They beat teams like NSIC, who looked very good, made it pretty deep in the bracket, and Oxygen, who ended up qualifying through the lower bracket. Uh, they're a very, very, very default heavy team led by Steel, who's kind of coming back into his own after having a rough stint on T1. And they have good set strats for motion, protocols as well. It's just all good. The one thing I worry about with this team is firepower because while he played very well, Clear is still fairly unproven, and outside of Exalt, I don't really think any of these players are fraggers per se, but if Clear plays well, they will do well. And now, onto their map pool. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it would be much appreciated, and let's get back into the video. And yeah, as I said, under their map pool, they didn't drop a Haven map at all, which is the first map that I want to talk about. I do quite like this comp. I think the only thing that I would prefer is Killjoy instead of Cypher because of how good Killjoy is right now. But definitely the first thing that jumped out to me after watching this game was Steel's IGLing. I kind of alluded to it before. It looks like he's back on 100 Thieves. I mean, his lurks are great as well. He was just kind of walking into sites for free. My only concerns on this map are Clear's Rays didn't look amazing. Exalt's Breach looked pretty good. I didn't think it looked as good as his KO, but still very good. Their executes weren't great. They didn't really need to use them because Steel was kind of just walking into sites on his own. But the one time they did try to kind of rush a site was round 12, and they did kind of get rolled. And then on Ascent, this map made me the happiest watching it. The IGLing was again the same, but they actually played the map correctly, unlike some other teams that I've watched, where they kind of did a lot more defaulting and splitting onto sites rather than just 5-manning out A main or B main at the 1 minute mark every time. Breakthrough. I mean, their defense, it wasn't crazy. Again, NSIC kept running into them, and they just kind of cleaned them up. Clear was pretty good with the op too. Against Oxygen, they played the exact side much better. Oxygen did. They kind of played it how they should. And they did have some success against that defense. So, especially playing that breach comp, I think I'll probably find it here. Yeah, they were up 9-3. They had a 9-3 attacking half on Ascent. I don't think this map is as defensive sided as people think. It's just how some teams play it and how you would play it in ranked, which kind of confirms that. But yeah, I mean, they just kind of rolled on those 2 maps. Pearl, I think, was probably the weakest of the 3 maps that I got to watch. Obviously, their Icebox and Fracture, they lost against against Team Fish Taco and Where is Fullerton, which they kind of got rolled in both times, so they kind of need to work on that. But this team is also fairly new, so I think they can do that. But that kind of is a little bit of a concern, especially with Lotus and Split coming back, and especially with Steel as an IGL in the past not really wanting to play Split. So we'll have to see. But overall, they have 3 really strong maps, which generally, when teams make runs, they have maps that they are known for. So that could be a sign, but you never know. All right, and now onto the players. We're gonna start with Steel, but I mean, with the little that we saw, if he keeps this up, this IGLing up, this even this play up with the lurks and everything, I think Steel should be considered a franchise caliber IGL. I mean, this is the Steel that we expected when he signed to T1. This is the Steel that we saw at Masters Berlin. Um, and honestly, this team feels similar to what we expected from that T1 roster when Steel was there. Um, and yeah, he's playing amazingly as an individual. I mean, not amazingly, but he's playing really well as an individual. Uh, but I'm just personally a big fan of Steel and can't wait to see him play in Challengers. And now on to Clear, the player who probably got the most hype from this run that they made. He's the duelist player and the opera. I'm very excited to see this player continue to grow. He seems to have a lot of potential. My one concern with him is his jet looked significantly better than his raise. Not that his raise was bad, it's just I want to see him develop his agent pool a little more. But I don't think it's that big of a concern considering the meta that we're heading into, where it's going to be mainly jet dominated, and you can probably try to avoid raise maps if you have to, and especially like the map that I got to watch of him on Haven, you don't have to play raise there, so I think he can grow into a pretty good player, and he has shown to be flexible. I mean, he played Viper on Pearl, as you can see here. I think this one Sage game was probably from Icebox, if I had to guess. No, it wasn't. Oh yeah, I forgot Steel like refuses to play Sage on that map. But I don't know. I think he's shown to be fairly flexible. His roles that he flexed onto other than Jet aren't insanely impressive, but they are very solid, and I want to see this guy keep developing. And now we have Gangsta, who was playing like the scan initiator stuff, like the Sova and Fade for them. Um, I think he's pretty good. He didn't really like necessarily jump out to me as anything crazy, but he is very solid for the role that he plays. I really don't have a ton else to say about him. I can't think of a comp for him on the spot, like a comparison, but he is very good. Or not very, he's pretty good. Right, and now onto a player that I've wanted to talk about for a while, who I've been very high on in the past, Ziff. He was insane on nights when he was playing Flex. Obviously, he's playing the Sentinel role here. Kind of wish that he was playing Flex, but whatever. I mean, he still looks fairly good. I mean, their setups are pretty good, which a lot of times setups aren't entirely from the player alone, but he also seems to play with fairly good discipline, kind of knows what he's doing, kind of his lurks were okay. He wasn't doing it a ton because Steel was doing it, but sometimes they would like double up on lurks and that would look pretty good. So I don't think he's being utilized to his full potential, but I think if he keeps learning this role, he'll be very good at it. And now onto the final player, Exalt, who's the Flash Initiator, like the KO, the Breach, Sky, if they played Bind. Uh, he definitely looked more comfortable in the KO, which is kind of a trend now, where a lot of players are looking better on the KO than they are on other agents, which kind of leads me to believe that KO is probably the second best agent in the game right now behind Killjoy. Um, but yeah, he's fairly similar player to Flya, who I talked about in the last video, but I definitely would rate Flya a little bit higher. And yeah, that's it for the team. I do want to give kind of a shout out and a lot of credit to the coach, Ocean. This team looks very, very drilled and disciplined. They're running good comps, which is all a sign of good coaching. But yeah, I overall feel really good about this team, and they're probably another team that I think could make it to the Ascension tournament at the end of the year. And with that, that's the end of the video. Peace.